how did you arrive at this style? Was there a lot of back and forth, or did you both kind of discover that you're going to meet in the same place in terms of style?
Oh, I think we're both big hoppy beer lovers, and we both have a keen love and passion for all Antipodean hops. So I think it just kind of melded on from there, really. I know Stu's got access to some cool Kiwi hops that we wouldn't normally have, so might have pushed him and asked to raid his stocks a little bit.
There was a time here for a few years where I suspected that everyone who invited me for a collaboration was just so that I'd bring my Nelson Sauvin.
Okay.
It was a little bit harder to get, and also we bring in our own Nelson Sauvin from New Zealand, which is tended to have been slightly better quality, I think, than what some of the British brewers were getting in the past. But now there are multiple ways that you can get New Zealand hops in the UK, and I think it's sort of really pushed up the quality quite a bit. So no one asks me for collabs these days. So it was really, really nice for Josh to come and ask me to brew with him.
One of the comments underneath a post about this beer was Yeastie Boys and Nelson, and then a load of love heart emojis. So I think it really is a popular hop. But talk to me about Riwaka. Josh, this was your first time brewing with Riwaka hops.
Yeah, I mean, Stu probably talk better on it than I would. He just kind of mentioned a few things about it, and I said, let's go for it. Like, we've not played with it before. I don't think I've seen it on the Irish market before. I don't think I've seen it on the UK market before. So I was like, let's just go. Let's go for it.
Riwaka is probably the most sort of loved in New Zealand, and it's the most quintessentially New Zealand, I think. It's a really low cropping hop, dwarf variety, and as such, it's not quite as commercially popular with the growers.
Okay.
So it's always sort of struggled a little bit against Nelson Sauvin in regards to, they're both big, impactful, flavorful hops, quite different from each other. Riwaka is a little more kind of like passion fruity and a little more closer to kind of classic, modern, tropical varieties rather than Nelson Sauvin, which is a lot more of that white wine character.
Yeah.
And a lot of people from Nelson Sauvin get sort of the cat pea aroma that a lot of people describe in Sauvignon Blanc, which is quite off-putting for some.
Yeah.
I get more of a much more of a post-coital armpit, I like to call it, like a nice sweetie.
Oddly specific and slightly disturbing in a way.
Yeah.
And
yet so descriptive.
There's 4 hops in Krush Groove. There's Betty, there's Riwaka, there's Nelson, and there's also Galaxy. How do you guys know? This is kind of a layman's question. How do you know to go for 4, or do you know when there'd be too many and they're all just going to compete for the flavors and for the aromas, or what way do you arrive at 4?
It's a little bit of a sort of flavor thesaurus kind of thing, really, isn't it? I think I don't know how Josh feels about it, but with me, there are certain flavors that go really, really well together and some that don't go so well. So when you get to know your hops, the best thing about, pulling together recipes is if you know the hops really well, you generally can get quite a good feel for what will work together and what won't. And I think in general, hops are much easier to mix and match than spices and food and things like that. I think, there's a much more common thread between hops than there are with, the likes of trying to match herbs and spices and things like that. They're much more diverse. One of the key things I think is just not overpowering and wasting things. Sometimes you could use 2 hops, one will completely overpower the other, and if it's not bringing anything to the game at all, you have to ask yourself kind of why you're using it.
Yeah, definitely.
Josh, do you want to come in there and answer that question?
My general rule of thumb when writing a recipe is keep it as simple as possible. Keep it simple, stupid. And I think anything more than 4 hops is usually too much. I normally stick to about 3, 2 even. So, but this time we said, look, we just got talking and we were like, and if we do this, we can build in this flavor, and if we pull in this as well. And then before I know it, we'd had this little bouquet of hops going on, and it just made sense. As well, it's about how you layer in the flavors during the brew. between your hot side and your cold side additions. And some hops you want to shy away from hot side in case you're going to put in too much vegetal matter, or kind of you're going to fry and burn off a lot, like cook out a lot of those lovely aromas you're trying to build in. So yeah, it just kind of happened naturally.
Yeah, the thing we went for most of all in the recipe was in the malt side is keep it really nice, low color, but with like enough malt backbone in there to and interesting sort of gentle complexity to to carry the hops through. You can find often a lot of beers will be sort of too dry and one-dimensional in the malt department. So we've again done that like thing of layering up some flavors, as Josh sort of talked about with the hops. So we got some oats and wheat in there, which add a bit of protein and like nice, good for like a nice creamy head retention. Bit of Vienna, which gives a sort of very subtle toasty character through, and brings in a nice sort of deeper golden hue color. A little bit of rye malt, which is can add a little bit of spiciness to the brew as well. But super pale all up. Just looking for something that's going to showcase, the like really fruity hops, because they can be quite difficult to sort of blend into like anything. When you start to get into like a sort of really deep gold or a reddish color, I think especially New Zealand hops can be quite hard to balance in there, because New Zealand hops are quite sweet in their aroma and flavor. And then when you start to get some of that sweetness coming through from some of those sort of, really caramelly malts, it can become a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah, we got a little technical with it as well. We included in kind of the oats and the wheat to give it that nice fluffy head. But we said when we were talking about designing it, we decided we weren't going to build like a hazy New England style. We weren't going to build a clean, crisp West Coast style. We were just going to let the beer be and do its thing. So it's going to be somewhere in between, like a Midwestern IPA, if you want to call it. So it's not going to steadily fit into one category or the other.